Donkey Kong Bonanza is still hiding stuff from us. Despite the long direct and the extra previews we've seen, we know that there is hidden stuff in this game. Case in point, there are hidden skill trees that have not been addressed at all. We know that there are at least 3 transformations or bonanzas that are in this game. We have the Kong Bananza for strong punches, the zebra for running fast and running over water, and the ostrich for flying somehow and dropping egg bombs. We've already seen the skills for the Kong Bananza, and we're going to find out soon just what those skills look like for the zebra and the ostrich. But that leaves 2 additional columns that we have absolutely no idea what they are for. So today we're going to talk about what these skills could be. Extra transformations or something completely out of left field. Maybe even a power for Pauline? Let's talk about it. So the Bonanza transformations that we already know about are clearly replacing the animal buddy system from the previous games. Instead of being able to ride on or take over the plane of a different animal buddy, you become a new animal inspired by the jungle and savanna setting from Donkey Kong, right? You've got a stronger gorilla, you've got a zebra, you've got an ostrich. But these powers are clearly inspired by the animal buddies from the previous games. The zebra running fast is like Espresso the ostrich, and then we also have an actual ostrich that can amazingly fly for some reason. So I think the dev team is drawing inspiration from these animal buddies, and they point us in a direction of what additional transformations might be hiding. The number one on most people's minds is probably Rambi the Rhino, but of course that's pretty unlikely because we already know that Rambi is in the game as a companion for Cranky and probably for some kind of racing mini game. Espresso the ostrich is also out because that's already covered by the skills from the zebra and the ostrich. And Squawks the Parrot is already covered by the flying mechanics of the ostrich and will probably be part of the hint system, just like there's a parrot for hints in Super Mario Odyssey. So what does that leave us? Well, Ellie the Elephant, or an elephant generally, could be a hard charging replacement for Rambi, with inspiration from Super Mario Wonder's elephant, using water in the trunk to solve puzzles and charging through terrain and enemies. Since the Kong Bananza can already crush terrain really easily, maybe an elephant transformation is more about the ability of running across tough terrain, spikes, or lava without being hurt. Another option could be inspired by Squitter the Spider. In the old games, the spider could shoot webs at enemies, but also make its own platforms to jump on. In this game, a spider transformation could shoot webs to trap enemies or even maybe to gather debris from the terrain together to solve some puzzles. And of course, that ability to make your own platforms out of webs could really help solve some interesting puzzles in the environment, both vertically and horizontally. Then there's possible inspiration from Winky the Frog or Rattly the Rattlesnake, which both allowed you to jump higher than usual to solve additional puzzles and find secrets. So transforming into a frog would naturally allow you to jump much higher or much farther, introducing some interesting environmental puzzles, or potentially allowing you to cross difficult terrain similar to maybe to that elephant idea. But there might also be combat abilities, using your tongue to defeat special enemies or even swallow them, maybe even having some poison ability to deal with enemies. But I think by far the most likely transformation inspired by the animal buddies of the past games would be based off of Enguarde the Swordfish. We know that there are water levels, and they've shown that you can use the zebra to run across the water, the surf skill to cross the water, and you can swim. But we haven't seen any swimming underwater, and this is usually a huge part of all the 2D Donkey Kong games. So having a transformation dedicated to allowing you to swim deep underwater would open up that entire environment. Of course, you could attack enemies with the sword, but mostly I think it would be about reaching new areas, diving underwater and finding a secret cavern, or exploring the water in general, finding bananas hidden under there. I don't really know what would happen if you run out of the transformation when you're underwater. Maybe you pop up to the surface. But I think given the history of water levels for Donkey Kong and what seems to currently be missing in the ability to swim underwater, a swordfish transformation probably makes the most sense. But we have 2 skill trees unaccounted for, so it could be one of the other ones like the elephant or the spider as well. So those are the transformations I think are most likely, but what do you think? Is there something that I'm missing? Is there an animal buddy inspiration that we haven't talked about yet? Let me know. Or there are other options, and let's talk about it. So I think that everybody is thinking about 2 additional transformations for Donkey Kong, and that absolutely makes the most sense. But I think that there are other possibilities bringing in Pauline. We actually have a clip of her marveling over gaining her own special power.
My own special power?
And this could absolutely be the power we already know she has, which is to sing and help Donkey Kong transform. But what if it is more than that? What if it's a power that unlocks in the middle of the game? We know that she has skills already based off of singing. In the co-op mode, she can use that singing and shouting in order to explode the terrain. And what if even in the single player mode, she unlocks something based off of her singing and shouting abilities that allows her to gain new skills that work in concert with the ones that we know Donkey Kong has? For example, based off of her co-op abilities to destroy the terrain, what if she had some kind of powerful shout, a bomb-like power that shatters a lot of terrain and has a combat use? Or perhaps the singing could be inspired by, Jigglypuff, a lullaby, some sort of enemy hypnosis that confuses or charms enemies temporarily. Maybe this is way out there, but it could levitate on a cloud of notes or words for a little bit of time. But one of the more likely skill trees for Pauline might be based off of harmonies. We already know that Pauline and Donkey Kong sing together when Donkey Kong is transforming or when you are singing to highlight the way you should go on the map. What if her skill tree really unlocks a harmony that boosts the ability of Donkey Kong in a new way? Perhaps it would be a long cooldown that does something like doubles the length of the transformations, or works like a star in the Mario games. It makes you invincible for a short time. I think that there's a lot of opportunities based off of that idea of harmonizing between the two characters, but I also think that simply a large shout, a powerful bomb-like blast, makes a lot of sense for Pauline as well. But there's a final option. What if these skill trees aren't based off of adding transformations for Donkey Kong or introducing new skills for Pauline, but are completely out of left field and do something brand new? What if a skill tree allows us to grow vines out of the air, almost acting like Spider-Man for a short amount of time, or to slow down time to help with certain key challenges in combat? The devs of this game are clearly super creative. They're the ones who made Mario Odyssey. They've inverted platforming tropes by letting Donkey Kong climb everywhere and instead needing to dig deeper into the planet core. So I think that there are things that we can't even think of that the devs might have in store for us. Transformations for Donkey Kong probably make the most sense, but I'm really looking forward to see what additional surprises the devs have for us. Well, we know that there are 2 skill trees unaccounted for, and these are my best guesses for what is in store for us as we get to the middle of the game. Well, what do you think? Is there something I'm missing here? Let me know in the comments. And subscribe so we can find out together when Donkey Kong Bonanza launches soon.